allegedly forced to take part in satanic ceremonies which included sexual abuse and the ritualistic murder of babies.
And what happens in the church?
And we do baby sacrifice and eat the baby.
What do you mean sacrifice and eat the baby?
So we kill the baby and eat it and drink the blood from it.
Is that true, Gabriel?
Yes. And we dance with the skulls.
You what?
We dance with the skulls in the church.
What skulls?
Skulls of the baby.
Despite the fact that this whole story is almost certainly a hoax, the video attracted over 1,000 comments on Reddit and is approaching 200,000 views on YouTube. The children, whose identities I've blurred out, claim that they were sexually abused by school teachers, police and others in an area of London before being forced by their father to partake in occult rituals during which babies were decapitated and then eaten.
Baby skulls. The skulls of the baby.
You dance with the baby skulls?
Yes.
And who kills the babies?
Papa, me, Elisa. And so...
Who kills the babies?
Papa.
And what, he gets you to help him?
Yes. Yes.
Shoot.
So he tells us to hold the hand with a knife, and then he holds his hand on our hand, so then he cuts the baby's head off. And then he puts it upside down, and then we drain the blood.
And then what they do?
And then we cook it, and then we drink the blood, and then after we go and dance with the skull.
An accompanying text document contains the names, addresses and phone numbers of dozens of people allegedly involved in the satanic cult. In addition, 19 other videos feature the same children describing horrific accounts of the alleged abuse in intimate detail, including distinguishing features of their attackers. The mother, who was reportedly one of the people responsible for uploading the videos, claims that the two children were taken into social services custody, where they apparently remain months later. Respondents to the video assert that the children appear to have been coached on what to say. Others say the stories are merely based on movies the children watched. Another theory is that the kids were forced to lie in order to demonize their father so the mother could win a custody battle. God only hopes that this is a hoax, but unfortunately there are innumerable other allegations of children being abducted by members of the establishment, sexually abused and forced to partake in occult rituals. The Westminster paedophile scandal, which has still not been properly investigated, is characterised by shocking accusations of how MPs allegedly abducted, raped, strangled and killed young boys. Victims of Jimmy Savile, the former children's entertainer with powerful friends in the British establishment, who was exposed as a paedophile after his death, also allege his involvement in occult rituals during which Savile and other hooded figures chanted "Hail Satan" before raping young girls. Virtually every major sex ring scandal in the world has featured allegations of top politicians, judges, police officers, entertainers and other elitists being linked to child abuse. The recent Rotherham rape scandal also revealed the chilling extent to which local authorities will go to cover up child abuse, in that case under the pretext of political correctness. Whatever the truth behind this shocking video, and it's almost certainly a hoax, it's taken the internet by storm and led to innumerable lurid claims, which is why some official body really needs to publicly address the issue in order to clarify the matter. I'm Paul Joseph Watson reporting for INFOWARS.com.
Introducing Secret 12, the new INFOWARS Life Vitamin B12 formulation. Most forms of vitamin B12 are highly processed and synthetic and could not be properly absorbed by the body. That's why for real results, so many are having to turn to painful B12 injections, which are known to have higher absorption rates. Now, InfoWarsLife.com is excited to announce that we can bring you our most bioactive, powerful form of B12 that has been developed with our exclusive perfected process. Secret 12 is a binary of nutramedical grade, bioavailable coenzyme forms of B12, methylcobalamin, the same kind used in B12 injections, and adenosylcobalamin. Secret 12 is simply taken by mouth, right on the tongue, and then swallowed. No needles, no injections. Don't take my word for it. Try it for yourself. Discover the secret. Secret 12. Secure your revolutionary Secret 12 formula right now at InfoWarsLife.com or call 888-253-3139. Used since before the days of the Roman Empire to support the body's natural systems and enhance overall health. Introducing the new InfoWarsLife.com oil of oregano formulation, a highly advanced nutraceutical form of this key herb that has been traditionally used by civilizations for thousands of years to promote health. We have now procured the most high quality and potent forms of oregano oil on the market, sourced from top leading manufacturers to ensure a concentrated level of bioactive ingredients. Extracted directly from the wild herb and sealed in easy-to-use capsules, you will no longer need to endure the burning of liquid oregano on the tongue. Wild crafted from the Mediterranean oregano species that experts agree is one of the most powerful and most challenging to acquire. This winter season, it's more important than ever to secure this true form of oil of oregano. Now available in our limited first run at InfoWarsLife.com. That's InfoWarsLife.com or call 888-253-3139.
This is for all the people who say the science on vaccines is settled, and if you don't get one, we're going to force you. This is about a measles outbreak that you haven't heard about, but you need to, because it flies in the face of all the statistics and information you're being given by the CDC and the media. In New York, in 2011, a 22-year-old woman who had been vaccinated twice not only got sick with the measles, but she transmitted it to 4 other people. Furthermore, half of the people who caught it from her had been vaccinated twice themselves. The other half didn't have vaccine records, but they had signs in their blood that they had been vaccinated. Now, this woman had 88 contacts, and the CDC feverishly searched for all of them and found that no one other than those 4 had contracted the disease. In this New York 2011 outbreak, the MMR vaccine didn't provide 99% protection to the vaccinated. All of the victims of the measles outbreak had been vaccinated. In this Disney outbreak, the California Department of Health is still saying 2 doses of measles-containing MMR vaccine are more than 99% effective in preventing measles. Even in this article from Science Magazine, talking about a fully vaccinated patient who transmitted the disease to 4 other vaccinated patients, they still can't help but repeat the 99% effective line that were being sold by the CDC and the pharmaceutical industry. They said this was a rare vaccine failure, and they point out that you're not supposed to be contagious if injected with MMR. But the 2011 New York outbreak proved that vaccinated individuals can transmit measles. The CDC says that New York has a 90% vaccination rate. If we go with the CDC average, that would mean that 9 people who were exposed to the vaccinated carrier were unvaccinated, yet didn't catch it. But wait, the CDC tells us that 90% of unvaccinated people who come in contact with measles will get it. No unvaccinated people got the measles in this New York outbreak. So is the pharmaceutical industry and the CDC, are they overstating the efficacy of the vaccine? Well, as a matter of fact, 2 virologists who worked for Merck claimed that they were doing exactly that. 2 virologists who worked for Merck, the largest manufacturer of MMR vaccines, accused the corporation of falsifying tests to overstate the vaccine's efficacy. They claimed that they witnessed firsthand the improper testing and data falsification that Merck engaged in to artificially inflate the vaccine's efficacy findings. And they said that that scheme caused the United States government to pay hundreds of millions of dollars for a vaccine that doesn't provide adequate immunization. So are Big Pharma and the CDC lying to people? Are they overstating the efficacy of the vaccine? Are they telling you that you're protected, 99% protected, when in fact you aren't? They allege that Merck added animal antibodies to blood samples to achieve more favorable test results, although they knew that the human immune system would never produce such antibodies, and that the antibodies created a laboratory testing scenario that, quote, did not in any way correspond to, correlate with, or represent real life. So the FDA didn't look into this matter. They were satisfied with Merck's answer. Are we surprised that regulatory agencies and the government would be captured by those that they're supposed to watch? Of course, the DOJ did not look at it either. They haven't looked at quite a few things lately, have they?
When the CDC buys $4 billion worth of vaccines in 2014 alone, and then sells these as well, does that kind of conflict of interest bother you?
But it's not just this measles outbreak in 2011 in New York that the media doesn't want to talk about, strangely. There's another epidemic they don't want to talk about either: autism.
In the 1970s and 1980s, only about 1 out of every 2,000 children had autism. Last year, it was 1 in 68. That's a 2,900% increase, a 30% increase in just the last 2 years.
Correlation is not causation, but there is a very strong correlation to the increased use of vaccines and the rise of autism.
And if you look at autism in the Amish community, where they don't vaccinate, as one reporter did 10 years ago when the national rate at that time was just 1 in 150, in the Amish community, there were only 3 children with autism. One of those 3 children was a child that was adopted from China and had received all of her vaccinations in 1 day. The second child was perfectly normal before getting the vaccine, but exhibited autism symptoms immediately after vaccination, and of course the autism has never gone away. There was no information about the third child and vaccines. On the other hand, the highest rate of autism in the country is in Utah, where the Mormon church leadership has actively partnered with Bill Gates to vaccinate hundreds of thousands, both domestically and abroad.
So we have 2 communities, one where vaccines are essentially shunned, and we see that autism is so rare that it's virtually non-existent, as it used to be in the United States. But another community where it is actively pushed by the leadership, we see that they have an even higher rate than the exploding autism rate in this country. And we have 2 outbreaks. One that exposes the ineffectiveness of vaccines is ignored by the media, while another one is used to blame the unvaccinated persons who catch it for the ineffectiveness of the vaccine.
Look at the hatred and the scapegoating that's being promoted by the media. Forbes says measles can kill and we should sue parents who don't vaccinate. And on the left, Slate says parents who don't vaccinate their kids should not only be sued, but criminally charged. The New York Times calls the outbreak unnecessary and says that opposition to vaccines is lunacy. And we're told that the anti-vaccine movement caused this Mickey Mouse measles outbreak and it was the worst in 20 years. Well, you know, about 25 years ago, approximately 18,000 people were getting the measles each year. Yes, it can kill, but it's extremely rare. In the 1960s, before the measles vaccine, there were about 4 million measles cases each year with about 400 deaths. Those deaths are a tragedy, but how many diseases have a 99.99% chance you won't die? Now, after 25 years of vaccines, the mortality rate increased by 10 to 20 times, but it was still less than half the number of deaths from insect bites and stings. With such a low mortality rate, why would this justify a medical tyranny of forced injections without consent, without information about the risks?
The pharmaceutical industry that owns the media, that funds them with their continuous commercials, are pushing vaccines everywhere for every kind of condition, and now they want to make them mandatory. Just as people wanted health care and we got mandatory insurance that isn't necessarily going to pay for your health care, but you're going to get it at an inflated rate. Understand that if you accept this mandatory vaccination without your informed consent, that when we do have a life-threatening disease, and measles is not it, but when we do have something like Ebola come to this country, they are going to be pushing a vaccine on you, and you're going to be the human guinea pig. And they're not even going to pretend that they've tested it. But they will make billions of dollars selling it to the government that forces you to take it. For INFOWARS Nightly News, I'm David Knight.
Well, that's it for the INFOWARS Nightly News. Be sure to stop by PrisonPlanet.tv. You can see the nightly news, the special reports, the rants, all of it right there on PrisonPlanet.tv. I'm Jakari Jackson from the INFOWARS Command Center, and we'll see you again tomorrow night.
In the past decade, we have witnessed unparalleled scientific discoveries in the area of health. But no one has put together a formula that focuses directly on brain health, nerve growth factors, and optimizing your cellular energy at the same time. DNA Force is one of the most expensive formulas to produce. Some of the ingredients in DNA Force are $12,000 a kilogram. We are using the coveted, patented, only American source of PQQ, CoQ10, and more. You want the best that's out there at the lowest price anywhere? Well, we're bringing you a total win-win. The ultimate value